Ghost Nolan. We have an interview with Special Ghoul.
Hello?
You submitted your questions, and I guess I'm going to read them off. So, somebody asked from the group, is there a possibility of an acoustic album?
I've been asked this before, so it's not... I've never really entertained the idea, because I don't think usually... even though I like a lot of artists that actually have done similar things, as in Bob Dylan, and Leonard Cohen. Generally, I don't think that the format is that interesting.
Right.
Even if it's like Nebraska or something, it just doesn't like. I like when it's a little more mixed. If for example, we did Nocturnal Me, which is off an album called Ocean Rain with Echo Nebaniment, and that record has no electrical instruments on it. It's just acoustic guitars, but it's with a soft drum kit and a string section. I would probably more go that way.
Right.
I have problems committing to just acoustics, but that's just my intuitive answer right now.
Okay.
But
Alrighty.
we'll never see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens, and I'll say never, but it's not on my bucket list. No.
Okay, so are there any bands that you would recommend to your fans to check out?
Like currently active, or?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that makes things either easier or harder, because I mean, if we're gonna go historically, there's a million.
Well, let's go with something newer, because you know.
Something newer.
Yeah.
Generally, I mean, we usually pick artists to open up for us
Right.
that we like, and I would just like point at some of the bands that we had on tour last year. Dead Soul, we had. Tribulation is a really good band. Zombie is a very good band. Carpenter Brute is a very good band. Right now we have Marissa Nadler, which is she's a singer-songwriter, but very sort of dark and the way I like it. And I mean, I came across her music by stepping into a record store, and I just that's actually a quite funny story, because I went into a record store, and I first heard it through the system, their sound system, and I was like, is this First Aid Kit? No, this is Marissa Nadler. And I had to like, can you say that name again? And they were like, took out a yellow post-it note, and just write Marissa Nadler, and then the album title was July. So it said Marissa Nadler, July. So I took that post-it note, put it in my pocket, and like 2 months later, when I was at home, I just emptied my pocket like that. And the only thing my better half in my home saw was just a yellow. This was in June, I think, as well. And we were just about to go on tour, I think, sort of. And it just said Marissa Nadler, July.
Uh-oh.
And I was just like, what was that again? Oh yeah, that was that record. It's a record. It's not what it looks like. Oh, this doesn't look very good, you know. And that is how Marissa Nadler came into the system.
That is pretty awkward. I'm supposed to ask you a New Orleans question.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to word this, and I am horrible with words, so bear with me. What is it about New Orleans is there anything different about New Orleans than anywhere else that you've played? What you love about New Orleans, if you love New Orleans? I mean, you could hate it for all I know. But we loved it.
I could, yeah.
But we love New Orleans.
Well, from an American standpoint, or from a viewpoint where we spend a lot of time touring America, one thing that sets it apart quite drastically is, especially from a touristy point of view, when you come here and you sort of end up at the French Quarter, which I know obviously that a lot of people from here think it's just a touristy place that you shouldn't go to. But there are a lot of touristy places in American cities that isn't nearly as European as the French Quarter. It's very European.
Really?
It smells European. It looks European. It is very European. It feels like being in Paris or London or ironically down south of France. It feels very much like being in a coastal city in southern France or Barcelona or something like that. The whole atmosphere is very non-American, for better and worse, I must say. It is, there's a lot of ideas about European cities being very romantic, and it's very this and that, and what it mostly is, if you go into Amsterdam or you go into Paris, obviously you can find your romantic spots, but if you go into the sort of the more crowdy places, it's very rowdy, it's very violent, it's very aggressive, and it's very intoxicated, kind of like the French Quarter. And you see very little of that across America. Usually America has a different, downtown, and there's nothing, there's banks, and then you go to the sort of more hipster places and it's way more relaxed. Not if you go into a bar, that might be like more sped up, but yeah, it's through my own experience, there are very few downtown areas like that here in America, where you get that sort of strong presence of a lot of people out there just having a night like that sort of dirty sort of fun.
Right. So do you have any plans in the future to maybe go to North Louisiana, like Shreveport?
I guess so. I mean, we the only reason why we haven't is, just out of a coincidence, I guess.
Right.
And we always try to make a point of going to, in the future, even if we haven't done it, just because every album cycle we usually do 3 or 4 American tours.
Right.
So if we do New Orleans on the first tour and Dallas, you might, next time we do San Antonio,
right,
Shreveport, Biloxi or something like that. It's not brain surgery. It's like you usually do whatever is sort of with a reasonable distance between the shows, and next time you do everything in between, sort of.
Shreveport's like the Arklatex, so you got like Shreveport here, and then up a little bit is Little Rock, and then you have Texarkana, and then you have Dallas,
yeah,
and then you go down a little bit, and then you got just the way that's mapped out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I see no reason why we should never play Shreveport. I think it's just a matter of,
Well,
I guess the
time.
Louisiana promoter just basically knocks out a better deal at the place that we played at or something. And I think that playing New Orleans 2 times, the Civic, and then we played Baton Rouge, I think we sort of exhausted those venues, and it was just a coincidence that we came back and played the festival, probably because I guess it was a better spot than playing Shreveport or something. It's just a sort of a circle, and there's always simple answers to most questions that fans ask. It's always like, if you play Kansas City, why don't you come to Wichita?
Oh. Yeah.
I don't know. The room was cheaper, or asked the promoter. Promoter asked us to come play, and they put us into a room. But it's always like that. You cannot get people to fully sympathize with what is essentially not even really our decisions. It's the room might be booked that night, and we could only come through those
Right.
2 nights, and right then there was a show going on, or some of these venues that we're playing is not even like rock clubs. It's theaters where 4 nights a week they have cats going on or something. So there's a lot of parameters that sort of dictates stuff like that. But one day we'll play. What's that called? It's Municipal Auditorium or something.
Yeah. Elvis played there.
I know.
Really?
Yeah.
It's supposedly haunted too. But and actually that leads me to my next question. Life after death.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
I have no idea. If I knew, I could be. I mean, this is technically exactly the question that is trying to be answered by a lot of people, and that's why they are cutting each other's heads off in front of cameras.
Oh God.
And why there are thousands of years of war in the name of who has the right answer to that, or the correct answer. I have no idea. I think that the most important thing in life is to be very humble, in front of the idea of possibly not knowing anything. You can be bright, you can be smart, you can be knowledgeable, but you always have to have that doubt that you might not know.
Right.
And
yeah, I get what you mean.
especially when it comes to things like that. I mean, I've lived most of my life very absorbed in cultural sort of impressions. So I can easily fool myself into believing that I have lived many lives.
Yeah.
I can convince myself, probably others, that I have. But I have no idea, because I just might have made that up.
Yeah, science and stuff.
Well, I have a vivid imagination, so I have no idea. And I want there to be an afterlife. I really wish there is. And I want to believe that there is a force. But I think that George Lucas is as close to explaining the balance of the universe as is the other guys that have tried to write it down in books. So I think it's good to be humble towards the idea that we have no idea. But I wish that the circular thinking is more true than this linear religions.
So most memorable item received from a fan, good or bad?
We get a lot of stuff. People ask us it, or people give us a lot of things. Everything from, I guess the most common thing is either artwork, like in drawings, and that is everything from like little napkin drawings to full size paintings, which are obviously very, very memorable, especially because you bring them with you, as opposed to people who bring like cakes and cookies and things like that is obviously highly appreciated, but you don't bring it home.
Right. So what do you do with all that fan art?
Most of it is, we have it in various places in the world. Some of it ends up at our management is located in LA, so we have an office
right.
in LA. And some of the bigger pieces that, you can't, if someone brings you like a framed canvas painting, it's like you can't really, it's not something that you bring on home as a carry-on. So most of the more more pricey and more more delicate things like that, we usually leave there if it's handed to us in America.
So what's your favorite movie?
The favorite movie of all time? I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna play it safe and just say Star Wars probably.
Really?
But I love so much different films. But that is a film, or the three original films are definitely films that I can always sort of rely on being a nice place to be. But so is Back to the Future, or Indiana Jones, or...
I didn't really like Indiana Jones.
Then I don't like you.
Oh my god. Alright, I quit Ghost Nola. I'm done with this group. I'm done with it. No,
I like a lot of films. I grew up watching films, so I spend a lot of time being in the cinematic world.
Okay, so if there was only one song that you could play from the Ghost catalog for the rest of the duration of the project, what would it be?
Mantra movie. Horrible. I don't know, actually. I mean, I dread even thinking like that. That would be horrible to be synonymous with just one song that you have to play every time. I mean, you learn how to live with the songs. And the more you play live, the more you can say that the songs that we usually play a lot are the songs that you enjoy playing the most. In a way, there are definitely songs in the catalog that is not very pleasant to play for this or the other reason. But I don't know. Absolution is a good song. Square Hammer is a good song for whatever little time that we played it, but at least that you're over with it. I can play that. It's worse to have a song like Inagata da Vida or something like that you have to play every time.
Oh man. Who sings that? Iron Butterflies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was on that, which Freddy movie was that on? I remember that was on.
4 or 5?
Freddy's Dead.
5, right? Yeah.
It's Freddy's Dead, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, wasn't that the Slayer version?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I get confused by I don't know. I all fogs up there, but anyways, I mean, there's so many artists, especially that had a big song like 25 years ago. And, I mean, I love Wicked Game, but sure as shit, if you see Chris Isaac coming on TV, what are we going to say? He has to play that, and lucky him that I had that song. It's probably paid for his whole life. But god damn it, from an artistic point of view, you are that song the moment you write it, the moment you record it, and for a little while after.
Like the musical typecast kind of thing.
It's not a from the artist's point of view, for the person.
They don't want to do it.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to be an one song person. It's very you never amounted. You no music writer wants to serially amount to just one song. You
Right,
write one
yeah.
song and then you go to the next, and then you go to the next, and then you go to the next.
Right.
So it's yeah, I don't have a good answer to that. If we just had to play one song for the rest of our lives, I'd probably would do Square Hammer just because it's short.
Aww. I like Ritual a lot. I like the vibe of it. Yeah, it gets me really pumped up.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Good.
Speaking of songs, is there any song personally that you would like to cover?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
There are songs that we have been considered covering that we just haven't done yet. And, but nothing that I like. Are you talking about the Ghost perspective here, right? Like in Ghost, with Ghost.
Are you? I mean,
But I mean, for example, I'm a sort of an amateur drummer. So I drum a lot. I play drums at home, and playing drums at home, I'm not at all like a death metal drummer or anything. I play very much classic rock and roll, sort of top 40 cover band stuff.
Yeah.
Everything from like Run to You, Bryan Adams, and Bruce Springsteen, all that stuff, and Kansas, and that's the sort of stuff that I play on the drums, like Carry On My Wayward Son,
I love that
Because
song.
the Night, and stuff like that. So that's the sort of things that I love playing if I'm a drummer. When I'm a drummer, that's the sort of music that I play. So I'm a top 40 cover band rock, classic rock cover band drummer. That's what I like to do. That's what I like. If this ever goes tits up and I've never amount to be in any other band that is remotely successful, I would love to do that. That's great. It's a lot of fun.
A cover band.
Yeah,
I can see that.
that's fun. It's great songs. You can play whatever. You can play how many songs. You don't have to play that one song. You can play 200 different songs. And it's I find that very liberating and fun. So yeah.
So let's talk about cats. Do you like cats or do you like dogs?
Cats. I don't hate dogs. I just get cats better.
Really? Why?
I don't know. I don't know why. I think that I am not. I mean, as far as I know, at least, I'm not necessarily a
Your
sort
friend
of.
pushed us on here.
All right.
It is Devil's Night, so
It is.
it is totally Devil's Night. We just got.
Hello.
We're
Not
being
today, no?
we're being spooked today.
We are. I'm not generally, at least from a personal point of view, I don't consider myself like I'm not a dominant person. Meaning that I find very little satisfaction in dominating others. I obviously, as an artist, as a band leader or as a boss or whatever, I find myself in a dominating position. But I myself don't. I'm not like. I don't have an inclination to sort of master another individual. Therefore, I am not very good with dogs, because when you have dogs, you constantly have to be on top of that in order for that dog to feel in place and in accordance with the world. That is not to say that as any other individual, I can adapt to the situation. So if somebody left a dog in my lap saying that he's yours now, do whatever you want with him or her, of course I can take care of a dog, and I can learn how to love that as much as I could love to learn a guinea pig. But I gravitate towards cats because cats are, in my perspective, individual. They have their own. You can't really master. As soon as you start fucking around with a cat, he will just start biting you and scratching you, and they want to take off. So a soft cat that does whatever he or she pleases, that smells good, is for me a better companion, because that is more according to how I live my life. That's how I live when I am at home. I am the sort of person that I don't sit there and look at you all night. I don't listen to you all night. But because I sit and do my things, and as long as we're in the same room, I think in my world that we are hanging out, even though I'm not looking at you all the time.
Right.
And a dog is very much like that, very high maintenance. So you have to take care of that.
Yeah, they're up your ass
all the time. And as soon as it doesn't fit, if you don't do X amount of fucking jumping through hoops for them, or jumping through hoops in this case, dominate that, the dog will fucking not like you. So I've never. That's why most of my life I've been, I'm not single. I've been non-single for 10 years. But before that, I was constantly single because I just don't like being in relationships, basically. Because it's even relationships are like that a lot.
Yeah.
Because you have to constantly take care of someone and dominate, and you have to do that and that and that. Fuck that. I just, that's why I don't like dogs, because they are like that. You constantly have to follow some fucking routine in order for that being to sort of feel purposeful. A cat does whatever it pleases, or at least it looks like that, and then you can coexist rather than morphing into some fucking Siamese twin. That no. All right, that was a rant, but that's mainly because but cats smell good. I love them.
They do. They clean themselves. They use the bathroom on their own.
Yeah.
You just give them food and water, and they're Gucci.
Yeah. They don't eat shit in front of you.
Well, I've seen some cats do some fucked up shit. I'm not gonna lie. My cat actually will go fetch snakes for me.
He's kind of cute though.
Trying to impress you. He's a beautiful black cat with turquoise eyes. I've had him since he was a little bitty, tiny little kitten. And he would sleep in my hair, and he really thinks I'm his mom. I'll be like, Gomez, and there'll be a snake, and he'll run out in the woods, come back with a dead snake in his mouth, and drop it and give it to me. And I'm like, I hate snakes so much, but it's so cute. I'm a total cat person too, but I do not like dogs. I don't like dogs for the same reason.
No, but listeners, please don't get it to the point where you think I hate dogs.
He doesn't hate dogs.
I'm just personally into more coexisting relationships rather than the opposite. So
he doesn't hate dogs. I hate dogs. That's me. Okay, I don't really hate dogs. I wouldn't want them to hurt. I just don't want them around me. You ever go to someone's house and the dog's jumping all over you?
All right. Well, next.
Okay. I think we've got a couple more. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this one. Okay.
You got more of these? Thank you, Jason.
So.
You find one.
Do you have any questions for Ghost Noah, or anything you would like to say to us and all of your followers from Louisiana?
Yeah, well, there's always nice things to say, obviously. Especially when we come playing festivals, there's always a little apology for everyone, as always. But as I was saying, on this tour, being the fourth or fifth time that we were crossing by most cities. It's, we felt that we were sort of exhausted a little. So what I'm looking forward to now is definitely coming back when we have a new album out, and hopefully take it one step further. This tour has been a little bit of that sort of growing pain, in the sense that we have quite a large production with us, which we can only sort of fully utilize in certain venues. So even if we played like our own show yesterday at Civic, it wouldn't have been like a full thing with everything,
Right.
all the flares and all the bombs and everything. So I'm really hoping that by next time we're gonna play another place that can accommodate that. So it's always fun being here, always.
Well, we really love it when you guys come. Like we have these pre-ritual gatherings. It's usually really hectic. We'll get like 30, 40 people, and we'll just pack up like the nearest restaurant. Like one time I was in full like slutty nun, I was eating a burger, and this real priest came up to me, and he like stood over me, and it was I thought he was a part of the show. I didn't understand.
Okay.
And he kneels down next to me, and he's like, "What's going on?" I was like, just worshiping Satan and eating cheeseburgers, and he was just kind of like, oh, and then I realized, oh, this is a real fucking priest. And now I kind of feel bad. Because, I was like just trying to be funny. I thought I was being funny, but then...
You were just plain rude.
I was just plain rude. And then he kind of laughed it off, and then I didn't know what to do, so I do it always. I was like, oh, let's take a picture. So I took a picture of him, and he was like... And then he's like, oh, I want to take a picture too. So like I was like waiting for my face to end up on some kind of like don't be this fool board, like don't be this girl. I was waiting for that. And Brandon's ass took a picture of me taking a picture with the priest, and like I got roasted for it for like the longest time. I felt bad. But yeah, so that's what we go all out. Like, we really do. We have people in Memphis and New Jersey and California, and they fly all over. I think one of our members flew from Tennessee all the way to California to Las Vegas to go see you guys. So, they're really... It's not just Louisiana. We have, like, all over America, but like we all get together, so it really brings us together. But it's like this is home base here, so when you guys come here, like we freak the fuck out. And
well, thank you.
Well, thank you. But I guess that's pretty much all the questions. If you want to say anything to anyone, or...
Well, thank you for the support. I'm super stoked that you're around and doing such great work.
Thank you for agreeing to do this interview on Devil's Night too.
Yeah, how fitting is that?